Thank you so much for tuning in to another live stream. This live stream is very special because we are celebrating 20,000 subscribers on this little corner of the internet, which is quite surreal to me because I started this project like almost a decade ago, and it took me so long to reach the like 10,000 subscriber mark, and then we got almost like another 10,000 subscribers just this year, which is just absolutely insane and very exciting, and I'm very grateful and humbled and all of those sorts of words. I feel very old school YouTube doing like a subscriber milestone achievement video, and it feels like a tiny bit cringe, but in my defense, I was planning to do a live stream anyway because I tend to have a content plan these days roughly where I will like do one kind of really big video and like work super hard on it and then take a while to work on the next one, and then in between that do a live stream that I don't have to like plan quite as much or put as much work into. So I was planning to do this live stream anyway, and then I hit 20,000 subscribers like I think like a few days ago / a week ago, and then I was like, well, it just makes sense to make this a little celebratory stream, so that's what we're doing today. So D.A. Daismo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, said, I'd love to hear you talk about your philosophy classes / personal research / interests. So that's a fairly broad thing for us to get into, but let's fucking go for it. Gosh, okay, so if you don't already know, I'm getting my master's in philosophy. I tend to be really interested in like a more modern and a more queer and a more feminist philosophy. I'm personally not very invested in learning about Kant or Heidegger or like these old white men. I just don't have a lot of investment in their ideas, and I find that as I learn more about them, I don't gain any more investment. And I just find, yeah, it's not to disrespect like older theory, it's just not really my personal area of interest. I find myself really excited by more modern philosophers that are currently alive. I'm a huge Angela Davis fan. Obviously, I based the last video on her, if you have watched that, and if not, you totally should, because I worked really hard on it. But my favorite philosopher is probably Paul Preciado. I am a huge enthusiast of Preciado's work. I think that it is extremely relevant to the world we live in today. I have a connection to him because he talks a lot about gender, and I'm really interested in philosophy surrounding gender and embodied experiences and bodily autonomy and feminist theory, and he is just really great with that. I find that his writing has a real anarchistic lean to it, and it's also very poetic. Like, he's not just a theory writer. He writes what is considered auto theory, which is philosophy that is wrapped up in personal experience, which is like my favorite type of philosophy. It's the type of philosophy that I write, and it's the type of philosophy that I am by far the most excited about. So incidentally, I am actually writing my dissertation on auto theory, so that's kind of like the main focus of my work right now. I think it's something I've maybe talked a little bit on this channel. I think maybe I talked about it in my last live stream, actually. So yeah, this person wanted to know about my personal research and interests. Auto theory is like pretty much the biggest one. So yeah, so in my philosophy classes, I've been really lucky because I've been able to kind of take the general idea or concept of the class that I'm taking and pull it in a slightly more like modern direction for me personally. So for example, when I was taking a class on Freud, and I actually really enjoyed that class. Like, I hate Freud, but I enjoyed ripping into his ideas. Yes, Free Palestine. Thank you. Very happy to see that in the chat. Talk about philosophy that I love. So, yes. We love, like, another reason I love Angela Davis. She has a lot of stuff about Palestinian freedom, and she has a lot of stuff about anti-colonialism. And sorry, my brow just furrowed because I was remembering how one of my lectures was like, Angela Davis just doesn't cover anti-colonialism. And I was like, yes, she does. And I said that in class, and everyone was like, oh, okay. Um, yes. Alexander 5 says philosophy wrapped up in personal experience sounds very engageable, understandable. Understandable, it's your favorite. I'm kind of annoyed because YouTube's put the little like emoticon. Okay, wait, no, I can move it. Oh, but then the emoticon thing, they're blocking YouTube's little like emoticon chat reaction thing is blocking part of the chat for me. And it's like, why would you put it over the text? Because I have a hard enough time reading things. Hence the glasses. Um, yes, where was I? Um, ADHD brain is ADHDing. Yes, Angela Davis writes some great stuff on anti-colonialism and on the Palestinian freedom movement, which I talk a lot about in my last video. Anyway, um, yes. So when I was studying these older theory, Greg Bramley says, I wish that could be moved. It's so freaking annoying. Like, what do you mean you put it over the text? I hate UX shit. This is dumb. Anyway. So yeah, so even when like I'm studying Freud, for example, we had a whole class about Freud's theory on dreams, which is, spoiler, what the next video is about, which I'm really excited to share with you guys. I won't go into it too much in this stream because I don't want to, give too much away, even though I've already just told you what it is. Well, you're here, you're in the live stream. Congratulations, you get the special details of stuff. But yeah, so we were studying Freud's theory on dreams, and I basically just made it all about Preciado and talking about like gender theory. So most of my degree has been taking these traditional philosophical classes and then doing a slightly more modern, more queer theory take on everything. I would say my two focuses in my degree have been gender theory and like class theory, and I feel like those are the two things I'm probably the most passionate about. Like, I'm really interested in subjectivity philosophy, understanding how we are made as subjects in the world, both politically and it's been a while since I've been in my classes. I'm not going to say this very smartly, but yeah, talking about having a body and talking about how we come to interpolate ourselves. That's the side of philosophy I'm really interested in, unsurprisingly, as a trans person. And then the other side of the philosophy I'm really interested in is like anarchistic leftist theory. I'm really interested in class. I'm really interested in how we suppress class awareness and how we can try to make the world a better place and fight for freedom for everybody. And yeah, I feel like I'm very interested. I feel like the big focus of my philosophy degree has been focusing on freedom movements, like both personal freedom, like embodied freedom, and like political freedom, class freedom, anti-colonial freedom. That's been a big focus, I think, across everything that I've done. So yes, so like when we were studying so the title of my is this interesting to people? I hope this is interesting. This person asked on Instagram, and I don't even know if this person is in the stream, so I apologize to anybody who doesn't want to hear about this. And yeah, feel free to just interrupt me, y'all. I want this to be a conversation. I always feel awkward just talking at the camera. But the actual title of my degree is Philosophy and Contemporary Critical Theory. So if you're not familiar with what critical theory is, it's like, oh God, I'm just like not gonna explain this well. Yes. Well, anyway, it's kind of in the name. I have a master's in philosophy, but not yet, but I probably will soon. I will probably pass my degree. It's about being super critical, like, of old philosophy and new philosophy and kind of everything. But I feel like it's more, I don't know, that makes it sound so negative. Yes, okay. this is like a slight tangent. But just gonna bring up my dissertation because I feel like I explained this better there. Um, so oh yeah, so I was learning a bunch lately about like post-critical because one of my patrons was bringing this up and talking about it. So you have like kind of the critical movement, which is very like I feel like quite like scientivist, like it's very like rational and it's all about like, oh, we should be like critical of all of these existing philosophical systems and be like, yeah, I don't know. And then there's like the post-critical movement, which is much more like, maybe it's okay to not be super scientivist and like to be metaphysical and to not be like uber attached to um, rational interpretations of everything. That's a bad explanation, but um, Bepco YT says, I mean, we're interested enough to watch a stream on this channel. I appreciate that. I feel so boring listening to myself, but if you all are interested, that's good. Joey Seth says, I'm reading Abolition Feminism now, and it is hard, but good. I would definitely agree with that. I will say I found Abolition Feminism now very hard to read. I know I've recommended it a lot. I think that it does a good job like breaking you into abolitionist theory in a way that, but it's not the most digestible. It's not the most approachable. And that's not just because it's like meaty and uber theory based, because it really isn't that either. Like I think I have some slight gripes with like the writing style of abolition feminism now. And I didn't have time to do all this in the last video because I didn't. Firstly, I'm really positive about the ideas of abolition feminism now, so I didn't want to be like, but the writing was like so boring. But it was. The writing was really boring. And it did make it very hard for me to get through it. My boyfriend's almost done with it now. I think he's almost done with it. He's been reading it after me, and he just keeps saying the same stuff that I thought, which is that like it is really hard to get through, and you do think, well, I do wish it was a little bit easier to be engaged with just because the ideas themselves are so important. And I want the abolitionist ideas to penetrate as much as they can. And it's a little difficult when like you're struggling to turn the page because it's like, oh, okay. I think it's a little bit too much of like a chronology of like historical abolitionist movements and less and like it's a little bit of a manifesto, but then it also has moments where it's just kind of like not actually giving me a lot of like, I honestly wanted more theory. Like, I wanted more like envisioning of what we can do with our system, how we can mobilize, as opposed to like, there's a lot of chronologizing like different abolitionist movements throughout history. And it's like, this is great, this is important, and including in recent times, but it's like, I wanted to maybe delve into like a little bit more theory on what abolitionist ideas are and where they come from and what we do with them. That's like, I don't know if that's making a lot of sense, and I don't want to be too critical of this book because I really appreciate it. Um, I had a slight awkward thing with the last video where I was kind of like, some of the negatives I say, not negatives, but like some of the ways that I'm critical about abolitionist theory, people responded. I had a few comments of people being like, oh, you're really critical about like abolitionist theory and this and that way. And I think that that's really reductionist. And like abolitionist theory actually has a lot where like as in I would say, well, abolitionist theory doesn't cover this. And they'd be like, well, yes, it does. And anyway, and these comments were absolutely right. And I was realizing there was some like so much of the script was based on abolition feminism now that it was like borderline a book review or like a book criticism, and I didn't make that clear enough in the video, and I wish I had made that more clear in the video because there's a couple moments where um okay, we've got a little ad moment happening. I'm just going to like just gonna give a little pause here to let that happen. Your girl needs the money, so I'm not gonna skip it. I'm sorry. She is a transsexual, and the funds are needed. So I get to play that minority card and say, watch the ad, click on it even. Just kidding. I'm not telling you what to do. I hate ads and I wish I did not need them on my content, but I am keen to uh make money that I need to survive. Anyway, um Kiko says, hello, Kiko. Kiko says, are we talking about philosophy? I hate that guy. I have no idea who that is. Stephen PCC says, laughs and ad block. So true. And yeah, I may or may not also use an ad block on the platform that I create content on. Couldn't possibly say one way or the other. It's a possibility that it could be installed. Not with my consent. It might be running. And anyway. Joey Steph says, I swear I'm only a third of the way through because it's so dense. I really feel that so much. I talking about philosophy. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm dumb. My boyfriend just texted me. He's like, you're dumb. You guys can't do that stuff to me because I'm American and I'm just so gullible. And there was my flatmate bought this game where you have to like you read out like a bunch of different words and then you but they don't make any sense and then you have to like get the word out of it. Like that, like philosophy, and then you're like, "Oh, it's the word." And I was so bad at it. Like just so bad. My brain just struggles with processing sounds. Um, yeah, abolition feminism now, very dense, absolutely, very hard to get through, and great ideas. And I just that's the only way to articulate that. Joey Steph says you should start a book club. I would love to start a book club. I think that would be so fun. My only anxiety would just be that like I would need to keep up with it. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm a very slow reader. I work through text, particularly like academic text, very slowly. I am quite like ADHD and I struggle a little bit with attention span. So for me, I love to read, but I have a really hard time like setting out space for it. And I tend to read the most when I'm like traveling on the tube here in London. And I don't like being on the tube, so I tend to not be on it that much. So I just, and sometimes I'm so overwhelmed with the process of traveling that I end up just not getting any reading done, even when I did bring my book and I am on the tube. So I'm a very slow reader, and I would just be worried that everyone else would be like, all right, we finished it. Like I will work through like 3 books in a year, and my boyfriend will have like read them all in a couple weeks, and I'm like, okay, that's nice. Um, Bebco YT says, I gotta eat now. Might come back after that. No worries, Bebco YT. Enjoy your food. Um, Alexander 5 says, I thought you were going to promote your Patreon. Well, since you've brought it up, I do have a Patreon, and you're more than welcome to support it if you want to. No pressure. I try to do little bits and pieces there. We have a Discord, which is fun, and everyone on it is so lovely. It's like a little bit of like a space where we talk about philosophy and ideas and sometimes just talk about life and share selfies, and it's really honestly very cute. I'm obviously trying to sell you a product here as it were, but I just find it really special. Um, it's just good vibes. My only regret is that I want to be more active with it than I am, and everyone's like also some of my patrons are like way smarter about philosophy than me, and they'll post these paragraphs about like complex theory, and I'm like, do you want to make my next video for me? Like, do you want to take over the channel? Because some of them are just like way too smart, and then I'm like, oh, y'all are smart. Um, and I feel like I should be funding you anyway. I do have a Patreon. Yeah, may or may not be starting a GoFundMe soon again as well for like trans related things, but we shall see. I shouldn't talk about that too much because we're just gonna see what happens with that. Kiko says, I hate it when my brain doesn't process sounds. Me too. It's a real struggle. Um, Brain is such a bad processor for real. Yeah, I really struggle with auditory processing on quite an intense level. Oh my God, Yasmin. Hello, Yasmin. Yasmin Benoit is here. Wow, we have an honored guest on the stream. Oh my goodness, the Yasmin Benoit. Reading with pointer really helps, even if it looks uncool. I use a pen with a slanted cap. What does that mean, reading with pointer? I literally don't know what that means. But I'm totally okay with looking uncool. Um, a pen with a slanted cap. If you don't know Yasmin, Yasmin is a phenomenal asexual activist and model, and I am lucky to get to call her a friend. She's very, very cool. Little shout out moment there. Okay, I'm gonna bounce to another one of the questions on Instagram. Um, my friend says, "Why are you so cute? Please explain." Unserious question. I'm not replying to that. Somebody says, "How do you get your hair to do that?" And I don't know what they're referring to. They might be referring to the little bang bounce, which like I just put curls in. It's not that deep or complex, and it's very temperamental and hard to get the bangs to do what I want them to do. But curlers are great. I discovered them this year and I feel embarrassed I didn't discover them sooner because they are nice. I like them a lot. I have a hard time. I love bangs, but I have a hard time with them. And I just want my hair to have more volume and bounce, and curlers help me do that. Yasmin says, like pointing at the words. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I will say that I do read with a pen now, and I almost always have a pen, and I will like go through. I this is kind of I think this is iconic, but my bookmark for Who's Afraid of Gender, which is what I'm working through right now. Please ignore how little progress I've made in this. Like, please, I'm begging you. Do not contact my philosophy professors. Nobody can know. Anyway, I use a nipple cover as my bookmark on Who's Afraid of Gender, which I think is really fun. I yeah, I amuse myself. Anyway, so I'll kind of go through as I'm reading and I'll underline bits, which I find really helpful. Here I have said, "This is so crazy" on one of the pages, and I'll circle pages that I particularly want to like quote. And then I'll also just be really silly with it. Like on this page, wait, can you see? On this page, I'm talking about how like I feel bad for this fascist guy's kids, and I just write that in. And then down at the bottom of the page, they're talking about rainbow radicals, and I'm like, "Are you serious?" And then there's this bit where it says this fascist guy is talking about how the worst events in history have been caused by people who hate Christianity. And I just put like, "Are you sure? Like, are you sure about that? Are you 100% positive?" Um, and Yeah, and one of his quotes, he says, "Tell the," he said, this is fierce. He says, "Tell the LGBT tolerance tyrants." Tag yourself. Do we have any tolerance tyrants in the chat? Show up. He says, "Tell the LGBT tolerance tyrants, this lavender mafia, these homo fascists, these rainbow radicals, that they are not welcome to promote their anti-religious and anti-civilizational propaganda in your nations." And I just think that's just incredible. And I want to change my bio to Lavender Mafia member. I'm like the queen of the Lavender Mafia. Like I run that shit. um, how great was that anyway? This book is really good so far. I'm embarrassingly not that far into it. This is the book club. We're doing the book club right here. Who's brought their copy? um, I've heard bad things about Who's Afraid of Gender from like hyper online trans philosophy academics, and that was so shady of me. Don't. I'm just pretend I didn't say that anyway. And they're lovely and they have great stuff to say, but I think sometimes they're a little bit like hypercritical. She says studying critical theory. All that to say, I think this book's really good, but I'm just a little bit simple and easily pleased. So do with that what you will. So okay, what does the chat say? Um, SJ McDougall says, on the subject of being trans, I am scheduled for FFS in October and would love to know more about your experience. Well, I am very happy to share with you more about my experience. Um, if you have any specific questions, let me know. Otherwise, probably the best thing to do would be to just send me a DM. If you already have and I haven't responded, I'm so sorry. I can be very slow working through them, but that's a very good space to ask me deep, intimate, personal questions about my experience with surgery, and I will very happily tell you. I think one of the best tools we have in the trans community is mutual aid of information, and if I have that, I'm happy to provide it if I have the time for it, which is a, a big old if right now, but I would be happy to chat to you about it more. I just probably would feel a little bit awkward just talking about it loads here on stream to those who are not potentially as interested in my medical history. Um, Yasmin Benoit says, like how you learned to read as a kid, and thank you. That's true. I'm like, that's so nostalgic. Yeah, I miss learning to read as a kid. What a time. Um, Greg Bramley says, I have some leave-in curlers I really like. They're great. They're honestly just really nice because you just put them in and then you can forget about them and then eventually your hair is beautiful and curly. I messed them up today real bad and I had like a breakdown before the stream because I thought that my bangs looked terrible, but I feel like I've managed to brush them out decently okay and they don't look as bad anymore. It's just like very me to like try a different style of hair and curling like right before a stream. I'll just be like, on filming day and I'll be like, I'm gonna try to do it this way and I'll do like different makeup or something and then I'll be like, why did you do this on the day that you're supposed to like do a creative media of some kind? Um, Kiko says, I am tyrant. Yes. We love to see it. We love some tolerance tyrant representation. Joey says one day your annotated copy of Who's Afraid of Gender will be a radical artifact. That's a great picture. I love the thought of that. Yeah. I would dream of having a big radical impact on the leftist scene someday. I think that would be amazing. Not just as an ego project, but also because I just like, I don't know, I want to like do my part, but we'll see. We'll see. For now, we have 20,000 subscribers, which is really exciting and um I'm very grateful and appreciative of that. And yeah, grateful for you all for tuning into the stream. I really appreciate it. Um, yes. The Nursula, if I'm saying that correctly, says, simple and easily pleases me. Honestly, I am with you. And we just have a happier life. Yeah, I'm just a simple American girl and yes, anyway. Hello, Jonathan Joseph. Welcome to the stream. Thank you guys all for being here. Apparently, there's about 30 of y'all right now, which is really cool. I never used to get those many numbers when I was over on Twitch. So thank you guys for stopping by and for hanging out with me. And feel free to say hello and introduce your lovely selves. And if you have any questions for me or anything that you'd like me to discuss today, today is a very like hangout stream, which is to say that I don't really have a schedule. I say that as if I ever have an outline. I mean, okay, I did have a bit of an outline the last stream, and I did have some stuff that I had planned. But there is a little bit of a tendency for me to jump on and just be like talking about random stuff. Teresa says your bangs are great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely did not have a full meltdown and message my boyfriend being like, everything's going wrong. I need to cancel the stream. Anyway, but I didn't. And I'm here. MC Fractal says, hi, this is the first stream of yours I've managed to catch. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We're honored to have you here. And I hope to do many more streams in the future. I've managed to this year I've discovered that I'm both ADHD and ASD, and I'm into my 5th month on HRT. Congratulations on your 5th month of HRT and the neurodivergent realizations. That's really exciting. It's really cool to learn more about yourself, and I'm wishing you all the best on this journey that you're embarking upon. Marco Best Venus says, "What's your hair?" I'm sorry as well when I butcher the names. I do apologize. Says, "What's your hair routine? I love the hairstyles you've had throughout your videos." Firstly, thank you so much. That's very kind. My hair routine changes a little bit based on how I'm having my hair. Right now, I'm giving the side part a little bit of like, um, giving it a little bit of a moment and kind of sussing it out whether or not I'm going to keep it or not. I have mixed feelings about it, but it's fun to switch things up now and again. Yeah, depending on where my part is, will depend on what my hair routine looks like. But honestly, I tend to be a pretty like low maintenance girl in general. I have like the exact makeup I like to do on the regular, and I will only deviate from that on very special occasions. And I don't do a ton with my hair. The best thing I did for my hair, I feel like such a beauty lifestyle vlogger. um, I need like a prop or something. Should I just hold the brush? So, welcome to my hair routine. This has been a highly requested video. If y'all didn't know, I used to be a lifestyle vlogger back in the day before I became an edgy and interesting academic. And sometimes she leaps back out of me in little moments. I'm sorry, I'm just cleaning my brush live on stream. It has so much hair in it. Anyway, my hair routine. The best decisions I made for my hair this year was I bought a like hard water filter. I think it's a hard water filter because I'm pretty sure if I get always get them confused, but I'm pretty sure UK is hard water, back home where I'm from in California is soft water. So I got a filter, and what it does is it just gives me these waves, which I love. Like I really love having waves in my hair. Before, when I moved to London and before I got the filter, my hair is like the straightest, flattest hair there is. It has no volume, and I know a lot of people love the super duper silky straight hair. I personally hate it. It's just really not for me. I don't think it's flattering on me, and I just don't like it from my face. And so I'm really happy because now I've got some waves going on thanks to the filter. So the hair care is basically just me buying this filter. I don't wash my hair very often because I tend to slightly prefer my day 2 or day 3. And I wear a lot of buns as well to get curls and waves in. And then otherwise, on wash day, I will put my little bang curlers in. I will put some sea salt spray into like the curlers so that they have like a tiny bit more hold. And then I'll leave them in for as long as I can. So hopefully that's a day where I'm like not having to rush off to something where I can't leave them in very long. And then I'll try to leave them in for like at least a few hours, and then we'll take them out and they'll just kind of like fall out throughout the day, but like in usually kind of a slightly nice way. So yes, I hope that answers your question. I hope that wasn't too long of an answer as well. I'm not insecure. But thank you for the compliment. Um, as Jane McDowell says, hooray, 20,000. It's very crazy. Yeah, I feel so like I just feel a little bit like cringe doing a celebration stream. I used to do these I used to do these all the time when I first started on YouTube. Like, I've been on YouTube for a long time. I'm a little bit of a YouTube dinosaur. And when I first started on YouTube, I would do like a celebration video when I hit 100 subscribers, and when I hit 200, and then when I hit 500, and then when I hit 1,000. And it's kind of that ironic thing where you get like, you're almost more caught up in like the aesthetic of like YouTube success when you're like just starting out, and then like the longer you spend with it, you're like, oh, like having 20,000 is nothing. And like, I don't know what my deal was back then, but I think about those videos a lot. They're very, very cringe. And this feels a little bit nostalgic because we're doing another one, kind of, sort of. But it's different this time. Um, Esther Two Hands says, do you find you're more outspoken and obviously queer on camera than when in public slash university? That's a really interesting question. And yes, definitely. Absolutely. Hmm, how to answer that? For one thing, I'm currently on a live stream, so I'm the only person here and I'm not doing a script. So there's a slight added expectation to be a bigger personality and to be entertaining, and I feel that pressure. So I obviously try to rise to that. That isn't to say that I'm like putting on a character necessarily, but it's like if the occasion demands outspokenness, then like she's gonna be outspoken. I do think I am, when I started at university for my master's, I was pretty like wanting to stealth. I have no idea if that happened really. Like, I just was so nervous about going back to school as a trans woman. I was kind of peeing my pants every single day I came in for seminars. I was at that moment in time not used to being in non-explicitly queer spaces. So it was a little bit like hard for me to be in a space where I was like visible to cisgender heterosexual people and interacting in quite like normal life environments as a woman for basically the very first time of my life. And I was like, yeah, it was super overwhelming for me to be honest. So like my goal when I started university was very much to be as quiet as possible, to stealth if I could. Had no idea if I could, had genuinely no clue at the time if I was passing even some of the time or not at all to anybody. I had no idea what people thought or like how people were interacting with me. I had done pretty much no or like very little vocal training. So like every time I had a situation where I had to speak in class, it was like terrifying for me because I was like, I have to like open my mouth and use this voice. And I think that I am also just in a very different place now with life and with transition. I feel a lot more, I'm less scared of being like stereotypically effeminate, I guess, in specifically queer ways. Like I find that I get joy out of being, I guess, more like explicitly queer. Um, and yeah, but there's always been, my journey has always had a lot of code switching depending on what environment I'm in, and being trans has really intensified that because sometimes I'm code switching in the sense where I'm like, oh fuck, I feel like I need to like stealth now, so I need to like try to kind of minimize myself or perform femininity in a very specific way. And then throughout all of my time being more like the word demure comes to mind at university, I would go home to live with my openly non-binary queer flatmate, and we would be, you know, watching RuPaul together and being super duper queer together. We have a very like extremely queer household. Um, and so there's always been that like multiplicity and code switching and all of that stuff for me. And it's always been hard for me in transition. Cause like, sorry, this is such a tangent, but before transition, I felt a lot of pressure to hide my queerness in a lot of different environments. So it was also weird for me to reach a place where like I felt like I didn't have to. So there's still a process for me of unlearning that where I'm like, oh, actually, like, I don't have to code switch right now. Or like, actually, it's okay if I want to like be effeminate or whatever. I mean, obviously, sounds weird to use that word. That's not really the word I wanted to use. I think just being like, I guess, more super duper overtly queer and like, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to turn this light up just a tiny bit. Um, because they're starting to get a little bit darker. Oh, that's the maximum. Great, excellent. This is what you're getting. um, so yeah, so I guess it depends on the environment. Um, is the best answer. And then it also depends on like who I'm with because there's a couple friends I've made at university now who are also queer, and I feel like I'm a lot more like outspoken and queer with them specifically. And if I'm out and about with my flatmate, I'm gonna be a lot more openly like just myself and quiet. Like out there in ways that I wouldn't be if I was traveling on my own for fears of like safety and stuff. Okay, I hope that was a good response for you, and not too long, because that was really long. Greg Bromley says, thank you for streaming. This does make for a very chill Friday. I think I was able to join one stream before, but today I have time to get engaged. I'm really glad to hear it, Greg. Thank you so much for being here. Um, Greg says, I'm in the process of finding a gender therapist I vibe with to get on HRT. I'm also teaching myself to be a nail tag. That is so freaking cool. I would love to learn how to be a nail tag, and I have bought the little like machine and tried to do nails on myself, and I find it extremely difficult and just has never been very successful. So I think it's very cool that you're doing that, and I also wish you all the best with finding a gender therapist that you vibe with, because that can be a real struggle, and just finding any sort of therapist that works for you can be really challenging. So yeah, I hope that that goes well. Exciting. Showy Stuff says having 20K is definitely an achievement. Thank you. It definitely does feel like an achievement, and it is exciting, but it is also like I don't know. I think it's not quite like I don't know. It's not quite what people think. Like, it's enough of a number where I can go to brands and be like, look, I have a following, but it's not enough of a number where I could actually, like, really make any, like, it's not even close to the point of being able to make it a living, which is fine. And I don't know, I sound ungrateful. But, yeah, I just would love to be able to do YouTube full time. And I guess it's just like any milestone is put into that perspective of, a potential dream, but we're getting there, and it's very exciting. Hello Breeze, welcome to the stream. Breeze says, last time I caught you on stream was in June, when I was about to come out to a friend for the first time. Now I'm prepping to maybe go to school this semester as FEM next week. Oh, that's so exciting, Breeze. That is a very big deal, and it can feel quite scary. So I wish you all the best with it. I hope that it goes well and good for you. I'm excited for you. My experience starting my master's last year was also my first experience being in school, um, as a woman, as a feminine person, and yeah, and it was super fucking scary. So I relate. Zombie Helper says, hi, amazing hair color. Thank you. I like this color a lot on me. It's probably my favorite color I've done. I really like blending like the pinks with the purples, and yeah, it makes me happy, so thank you. George says, I heard my name. I don't know what I was talking about then. Oh, probably how like I get more gay when I'm around you. um Welcome to the stream, bestie. George is literally in the other room. I think George is my phenomenally wonderful flatmate whom I love so very much. Um Esther Two Hands has a follow-up question. Don't answer if it makes you uncomfortable. I won't. Thank you. You commented next to your essay post that you identify now more with femininity and womanhood. Is that more of a social thing or also internal? Lovely question to ask, and I don't feel uncomfortable at all. And also never worry about like asking a question that you think could make me feel uncomfortable, because I will just say that it makes me uncomfortable and I just won't answer it. And that's also okay if that happens, but it probably won't, because I think I feel comfortable like talking about almost anything at any point in time. Yeah, so it's kind of funny because looking at the span of the last stream versus this one, in the last stream, I was talking about how even as a very feminine presenting person and someone who like is often perceived and engaged with as a woman, how I still kind of saw myself very non-binarily. And um I feel like I feel I feel like that's evolved a little bit. I think I have a very like um intellectual connection to being non-binary, and I got a comment at one point where I was talking about this and someone was like, you can't just like have an intellectual connection to being non-binary, because like you either are or you aren't, and it is this thing, and it's like you either need to like it was offensive to them, and I found that perspective interesting, and I like held space for it. We're getting another ad. So just gonna do a little interpretive dance for you while the ad runs. Um, anyway, I just feel bad continuing to talk for anybody who's stuck in ad purgatory. Michelle says, congratulations from transform non-binary person from Russia. Welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. I'm just going to use this as a little water break moment. I apologize about the ad. I'm so sorry. To all of the new viewers who are here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming along to the stream. I hope that you guys are all having a wonderful day. And if I'm just saying this repeatedly for new people who are joining up, but this is slightly more of a chill conversational stream. So if you have any questions for me, any topics you'd like me to discuss, or stories you want me to cover, let me know in the chat. So we were talking about my relationship with womanhood, and I feel like I don't know, it's hard for me to answer. I feel like it's definitely been more of a social thing for me to identify more increasingly with womanhood um, as I've progressed with my transition. I feel like I'm a woman in a very Beauvoirian sense. Like, I feel like I should remember the exact quote, but basically, um, like one is not born a woman, one becomes a woman is something like that. I am so with it. I'm such a gender theorist. And I really feel that. I really feel like I have become a woman, and I feel like it's something that has in many ways happened to me. Um, I feel that yeah, I feel that womanhood has been something that has kind of like developed very slowly as part of my transition. When I started my transition, I did not identify at all with womanhood. I was 100% like, I'm just non binary. I was comfortable like with using any pronouns for a while. So I was just in a very different place with gender. I feel like I have, firstly, I do feel to a large degree that I have become female, at the very least endocrinologically speaking. Um, and that's a complicated thing for me because I feel that biological femaleness has affected my relationship, I think, to womanhood to a large degree. And then I have this kind of Bovarian connection to womanhood that's very social. I feel like I've now been it's an ongoing process, but I feel like I am being slash have been socialized as a woman now, which is a complicated reality, and it has affected my relationship with womanhood internally and externally. The socialization is, yeah, for me has felt good and it's felt positive. So I think that's partly like there's some aspects of it that are neutral, but it definitely has not felt dysphoric for me. It's felt relatively positive and right for me, and it's felt like it's aligned with my internal sense of self. Whereas like when I hear sometimes about like non-binary trans femme people getting dysphoria from like growing breasts, it's like that was something that I think was maybe part of my experience at one point in time. So not part of my experience now. With every time I'm like associated with womanhood, it feels really good. So it's like the gender euphoric connection I have to womanhood has caused me to like reevaluate, do I really not identify as a woman? And then I'm like, no, I feel like I'm really quite happy identifying as a woman and being seen that way and perceived that way and treated that way. And then I'm like, fuck, am I a binary trans woman? Because then I'm like, I for some reason associate that like um as like I don't know how to say it. Like I think I've been so connected to being non-binary for so much of my transition that there's like it's such a big part of my journey. And I guess maybe it's kind of hard for me to let that go. And slash I don't feel that I need to because I still feel very connected to non-binariness in many ways. But I feel complicated about it. I got this comment from someone saying, you shouldn't identify as non binary unless, like, you're 100% sure that's what you are, sort of thing, because otherwise they felt like I was kind of using it as like political points, which I think is really unfair, especially if you look at my journey as someone who has lived in the world as a non-binary person for years and who has a big connection to that identity. But I would say I'm very comfortable being seen, treated, and perceived as a woman. And when people talk about female experiences, I feel included in that in a way that I didn't used to. So it's hard for me to explain. I hope I did a vaguely okay job of it. Um, but yeah, I also have found as my transition has progressed, I've been much more traditionally dysphoric about aspects of myself that don't fit into womanhood, like binary womanhood, I guess. So it's also been complicated because I've had this medical journey of transition that's been quite binary female, that's been at odds with my identity with non binary, where I've been like, I don't know what to do with all of it. And I've been having a chat with my boyfriend the other day where I was like, God, I feel like I've become such a binary woman, and I feel like that's just something that's just kind of happened to me. And he was like, yeah, well, and that's okay. And I'm like, and it is okay. Women are great. It just seems to be the way that my journey has taken me. And sorry for all of the political queer baiting, non-binary baiting, with all of my content on being non-binary. But I still, if people ask, I tend to say that I'm a non-binary trans woman still. That does still tend to be what I say, but I don't know. It's complicated. One is not born but becomes woman. Thank you, Joyce. I feel like I should have remembered that correctly. How embarrassing. We're out of focus. Can we focus? Mr. Camera, can we please, can you not do me like this? Thank you. Thank you so much. Was that so difficult? Sorry, casually doming my camera here. um, Gnostic Daedra says, do you have a hot take on Slavoj Žižek? Yes, I have lots of feelings about him. I am not a big fan of him, mostly just because our boy Mr. Slavoj has become a little bit reactionary. I made a video in January addressing some of his recent lectures, and that video is called, I think it's called On the Revolutionary Power of Choosing the Self. So feel free to watch that if you want to, like, not telling you you need to or whatever. I'm happy to kind of repeat what was said in that video, but in long and short, because that video is like directly replying to a few of his lectures, the long and short of it is that he thinks that engaging in gender freedom is not revolutionary. He said that explicitly. Being trans is not revolutionary. Having freedom of gender to bodily expression is not revolutionary. That pissed me the fuck off because I was like, how fucking dare you? But I also just strongly disagree with it on a very philosophical level. I think it is so revolutionary to be who you want to be in this world, even in small ways and in major ways. I feel like a huge revolutionary for being trans. So I took personal offense at that, and I just disagreed with his philosophy. I thought his philosophy surrounding it was extremely lazy, and I thought it was very reactionary. And he's trying to link trans identity and bodily autonomy to a capitalist critique. I value this like on a very superficial level. I have strong feelings about that as well. And that's also something that Judith Butler goes into a lot in Who's Afraid of Gender. How like some of these countries are being forced to be trans accepting in order to get money or like EU membership or support from the World Bank. I don't agree with that. My transness for me personally is very connected to an anti-capitalist critique. And so on a surface level, I can say, go for it, Mr. Zizek. It's valid to bring up an anti-capitalist critique connected to an understanding of transness, but to flat out say that it is capitalist to be trans, that like he's talking about how all the major corporations support us, and I'm like, baby girl, that's just not true. That's you're spreading misinformation. That's just not true. It's not honest. It's not correct. It's actively harmful misinformation. Every major corporation is super duper not trans friendly. He felt borderline conspiracy theory ish. He was like, Mark Zuckerberg is promoting the trans, and it was like, are you going to tell me it's in a vaccine next? I don't know. It just really rubbed me the wrong way. And it did just really feel like he was out of touch, like just very out of touch. And that theory is not useful. It's not helpful to anybody, and it's not true. Mic drop. Um, I don't like him. Um, but that said, I've watched some of his past stuff in the past, and I thought, oh, this guy's great. I like what he has to say. So it's not to, I think he has had good philosophy in the past. I think it's time to put the mic down. I think it's time to go on a nice little retirement, somewhere nice and warm, and have a nice little life away from spreading misinformation. That's how I feel. Um, Iris says, hi, I just wanted to say that your videos have meant a lot to me and have really helped me come to terms with my identity. It means a lot, Iris. Thank you for sharing and thank you for being here on this stream. Breeze says, for me, I feel like gender identity is so tied up in belief. Like there's an innate felt experience with gender, which I think is more truthful. Yeah, and I think that I think I agree with that 100%. And I feel like my philosophy surrounding gender is very agender and very non-binary. But it's more complicated than that. I don't know. As Jim McDougall says, you are only the person you are now today in the moment. Embrace it, love it. Thank you. And very true. Um, yeah. Um, sorry, just reading the chat. Yeah, I mean, like, Bree says, until you believe you are one thing or another, you won't actually identify that way, something like that. I mean, there's definitely like differences between like philosophy of self and gender and like how we interpolate ourselves. And I just, yeah, I feel like this is such a complicated thing. The last essay that I published on Patreon, shameless plug, communicates a lot of feelings I have towards not wanting to be interpolated. Um, and yet at the same time, when I'm really honest with myself, the interpolation of woman feels extremely good for me. So it's that complicated thing where like I'm like, don't fucking call me anything. I'm above labels and I don't do identity. And then someone's like, you're such a beautiful woman. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So yeah, I don't know. Bree says there's a really fun sci-fi series by Anne Leckie called Ancillary Justice. The setting is in a far future human society that is fundamentally ungendered. That sounds amazing. Also sounds a little bit like Left Hand of Darkness, Ursula Le Guin. I love exploring ungendered worlds and futures. I find them really exciting and inspiring. Um, Gnostic Daedra says, yes, love this video about choosing yourself. This is the reason why I'm asking you about him. Oh, okay. I'm sorry if like that was a bit patronizing now for me to be like, go watch that video and you literally already had. But I'm really glad that you liked the video and yeah, super duper happy to talk about it more in more detail. Bree says everyone is a she. And you go through the entire book without knowing the biological sex of any character. The main character is an AI that controls dozens of bodies at any one time, and it's so cool. That's really sick. I love that. I the swarm gender is a fascinating concept, and that sounds really cool. I want to read that. Gnostic Daedra says, thank you for the big answer. No worries. Thank you for the question. I really appreciate the questions. I didn't come super prepared today, so I need the interaction. So I appreciate it very much. Kimberly C says, woo, 20K, let's go. Thank you so much, Kimberly. I really appreciate it. I am humbled, hashtag blessed, hashtag grateful to be here. But I really, really am. Yes. Joey Steph says you contain multitudes. I sure do. I'm complex. I cannot be contained by your meager interpolations. I transcend them. I rise above it all. Actually, can I just read you guys a quote? Okay, so like disclaimer, this is technically Patreon exclusive content. I'm just gonna share one little quote from the essay I wrote because it's special and I love it. It's probably gonna be in a video at some point, but I'm just gonna share it with you guys now. My phone's about to die, but that's fine. That's okay. Um, okay. So, so there's this intersex person in oh fuck, what time period is it? I think the 1800s or like late 1800s or something, named um Herculine Barbin, Herculine Barbin, who is an intersex person who was forcibly detransitioned by the state because doctors just arbitrarily decided a sex for her. She identified as a woman, but she had a lot of very masculine characteristics, and her story is extremely sad. But she has this very, very, very cool quote. She's talking about, like, I guess just like the cisgender world or something. Sorry for bumping the mic there. Anyway, she says, "You are to be pitied more than I, perhaps. I soar above all your innumerable miseries, partaking of the nature of the angels. For, as you have said, my place is not in your narrow sphere. You have the earth, I have boundless space, enchained here below by the thousand bonds of your gross material senses. Your spirits cannot plunge into that limpid ocean of the infinite where, lost for a day upon your arid shores, my soul drinks deep." And I've always just interpreted that as her like articulating being different, specifically when it comes to gendered experience, and feeling like the world just wasn't made for her. Which is really sad, but it's also really beautiful. And I just wanted to share that with you guys because it made me think a little bit about containing multitudes. Um, Yours. I hope you enjoyed that. Kimberly C says, "I love your content. I haven't gotten around to watching the last video, but I'm sure it's a banger. Thank you so much, and I hope that you do enjoy the new video if you watch it. I like, I'm very proud of it. I'm very glad that I did it. I'm definitely like, it was a very, very, very difficult topic to cover. I thought it was quite a heavy video, and I'm definitely like looking forward to doing something a little bit more lighthearted for my next one. It was just hard for me to try to make the video entertaining while also covering just such immensely sensitive and serious topics. And I definitely got more critical comments than usual, which I think a lot of which were very fair. Um, and that's okay. I can contain that criticism. But it was just a really hard video to make. And I left it just being like, I'm glad I did this, but also like, at what cost? Because I don't know if I did it the best. I don't know. Like, there's just so, like, it needed so much content to cover it. And I think, unfortunately, it's also a topic people have a harder time being invested in because it is just a bit difficult, which is okay because I'm not just making videos to get views. Um, but yeah, I had complicated feelings about it, and I'm glad it's done. But I'm glad that at least some people really enjoyed it, and yeah, glad we did that. Um, yes. SJ McDougall says, "I'm still reading through your essay. I read very slowly and I'm really enjoying it. Thank you so much. And I respect you for taking the time to dig through it because it is an academic essay. I know one person was like, I was not expecting that to be so academic. It is an academic essay and it is long and I think, yeah, a little bit challenging to work through. So thank you for taking that time and I hope that you do enjoy it." Rory Reviewer says, "Hi, I love your videos. They're interesting and very thought-provoking. Thank you for your bravery to be yourself." Thank you, Rory Reviewer. That is an extremely sweet thing to say. That's very kind, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. I feel like it's getting a little bit darker, and I hope that this lighting is like, I hope it's, I hope it's okay, and I hope that it's not too bad. Anyway, let me know if I like start disappearing or it gets too dark. Gnostic Daedra says, do you have any D&D or other tabletop RPG experiences? I'm afraid to ask my master to play as my preferred gender, so I play as a sexless fish person. Well, firstly, I think that's amazing. I have to say that's incredible. Secondly, um, there are so many trans positive D&D spaces. D&D is like a great place to explore your gender, and there are lots of DMs that are very queer and very queer sessions. Obviously, I imagine this may be like a personal thing and you might be invested in that campaign specifically. So not telling you to like leave it in search of another one, but I hope you can find a space where you can be comfortable playing as your preferred gender because I think that can be very gender affirming. I love D&D and I have played D&D a fair bit and a couple other tabletop RPGs. I am a big gamer girl, and RPGs are basically my favorite genre, apart from maybe strategy. It's always between strategy and RPG for me. And yeah, I love RPGs. I'm a big fan of lots of them. I haven't played D&D in a long time. And in fact, I don't think I've played D&D since I transitioned. And it would be kind of fun to like I always find it really enjoyable taking old experiences from the before and creating new ones as who I am now, and I find that to be a really exciting thing. So that's something I would like to do, but I frankly do not have time right now. And yeah, I haven't been in a campaign in ages. Actually, I lied. I was in a D&D campaign after I transitioned. It was the Avatar: The Last Airbender D&D campaign, like a homebrew, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. It was so good. I had this super sexy airbender character, and she would use like she was a rogue and she would use air to like fire throwing knives. This is like the most random Marceline fact, but I'm really into throwing knives and I have like a bunch. Actually, you can't see them on the table here, but I really am very into throwing knives. And so I made a girly that I was like inspired her a bit off of me, and she uses air to throw knives. Anyway, she was so fucking cool, and she could like communicate with spirits and kind of like get them to help her sometimes as well. And it was great. It was so much fun. And unfortunately, I was just guesting on the campaign, and there was a story point where it didn't make sense to keep my character on, or it would have been too much work for the DM. And they let me go. I got fired. I got booted off the campaign. I always knew it was going to probably be a temporary thing, so it was a guest slot, but I was kind of hoping I'd get to be on it more regularly, and I wasn't, and that's okay. Bepco YT is back. Hello again to you as well. And I'm glad that food was good. Thanks for coming back. Um, Bree says, I'm recommending your channel to my mom right now. Hope that's okay. LOL, she's cool, only slightly cringe. I mean, that's like what we desire from our parents is that they are cool and only slightly cringe. My parents are cool and slightly cringe. Thank you for recommending my channel. No, I appreciate it. I'm honored. Um, but I think she'll absolutely love all your video essays on gender. I've been excited to share your channel for Wild PH, so glad I finally can. Honestly, that means so much to me. It's very sweet of you to share my videos, and I am humbled that you think that they're worth sharing, and I hope your mom does really enjoy them. As Jay McDougall says, have you played any 2D20 system games? No, I don't think so. Bree says, have any of you been playing Fields of Mistria? I have not. What is that like? What is that about? I'm so sorry for the chair squeaking. It's so noisy. Um, yeah, tell me about it. The Friday night D&D games with the townsfolk are so fun. I love D&D. It's great. It's really good. Okay, I still haven't gone through a lot of the Instagram messages. I'm just gonna go through some of them. Um, okay. eCarb says, how's academia life treating you? I feel like I've talked a lot about studying so far on the stream, but yeah, it's going well. I like it a lot more than I thought I would, and I thought I was gonna hate being back in academia because when I did my undergrad, I was like, didn't really have the best time, and I was like, I'm done with this, and I'm never studying anything ever again. And then I went back to school for a master's in philosophy, and I've been loving it. It's been really good. I've been really enjoying it. Um, Um, my boyfriend says, "Why is your boyfriend so hot?" And I do truly ask myself that on a regular basis. So lame. Um, okay, moving swiftly on. Um, Sophie says, "What parts of your personality do you think you choose to emphasize for your public persona, and why?" Question mark. I feel like we've already talked about this a lot, like how you kind of. I'm just gonna come in a little bit so I can lean back and stop the squeaking. Um, I feel like we've already kind of talked about this a lot, but I would say that I like I don't know. I honestly I would rather have someone who knows me really well offline answer that question because they would I think have a better perspective on it. Like it's very easy for me to say, well, I'm the same online and offline because I don't really have that perspective. I definitely think I try to up the energy levels a bit online. I try to fill the space a bit more because at the end of the day, I am obviously trying to be entertaining, but I don't think I do that in a way that's particularly performative or inauthentic. I think I'm always insecure that I'm not very funny, and I sometimes try to maybe compensate that a little bit just because, like, the other video essay channels that I watch are always, they're all so fucking funny. Like, ContraPoints. Natalie is so funny. Like, her videos are hilarious. And I try to be funny because I think that's a very entertaining way to communicate information and make your video essays really like gripping and should help just like relax you a bit when you're doing a really heavy topic. It's something that I think doesn't come as naturally to me as some other people and I'm forgetting the name of the channel. Um, I want to say Alex or something. There's this amazing channel run by this trans guy who recently did this video on like how conservatives created and then canceled gender. Fuck, I'm forgetting his name, but anyway, also just extremely funny. And I don't know, I just like I feel that pressure with my videos probably more than anything because I know that I'm good at presenting, not to be full of myself, but I think it's a skill that I have. And I think I'm a good educator, but I the like being really funny and like writing the jokes in the scripts, it just doesn't really come super naturally to me. So like it's something I'm trying to work on and get better at. But I think sometimes I'm a little bit worried I like try a bit too hard, but probably more honestly, I don't really try that hard anyway. So, but that would be something I try to emphasize for my public persona. But I think that I don't think I'm that different offline. I don't know. If y'all ever meet me in person, please give me your perspective on this because I'm genuinely curious to know. I think I used to be more inauthentic on YouTube for sure. Um, Majorly. Um, oh my God. Wait, I think we have a response from my boyfriend. Um, okay, wait, I'm gonna read this first before I just read it out loud. Um, okay. He says, this is like the person who probably knows me better than anybody else on the planet, so probably a fairly reliable perspective. He says, "You are entertaining and charming, and your live streams are very close to who you are, just a little louder and more confident, like you're presenting. And I always have some giggle with your stream." I, there we go. Am louder and more confident, apparently. I don't know how I feel about that, but I think it's probably very honest. So, and he's probably the most qualified. I'm just gonna plug my phone in just really, really quickly. Give me 2 seconds. Um, we're on 6%. She's gonna go any second now. Um, Gnostic Daedra says you're funny in a unique way. I love that Astra video. Thank you. The one thing I think I can do good with humor is like with references when I can fit them in or like aesthetic things. And I really liked the Astrid moment because I felt confident in that being fun and entertaining to people who would get it. And I really wanted something similar with the abolition video, especially because it's so heavy. And it's not to say I can't just make a serious video, but it's like if you're doing it in over an hour long video essay about like one of the most heavy topics ever, it's nice to be able to lighten that and make that entertaining. And that was like maybe the one thing I felt I let myself down with a tiny bit with that video was I wanted it to have some moments that were kind of funny and some moments that were like broke up the heaviness. And I just couldn't think of anything, but it was hard because it was um, so heavy and so difficult. Um, yeah. Shot, shot shells. Why is it so hard to say? Says, you are funny. Thank you. I appreciate that. Joey Steph says, the boyfriend is biased though, and that is so true. That is so very true. Y'all are probably less biased, so one of y'all needs to meet me and give a full personality analysis. Give me a full Freudian analysis, please. I want that. We've got a sexy little ad, and I do apologize. Your girl needs to make some money. Um, Usher Two Cents Hand says, I think you were mentioning Alexander Avila. Yes. Who started out making spoof Are They Gay videos. Yes, that guy. He is so fucking funny. And like every second, every frame has a joke in it. And I'm like, how do you have that much endlessly entertaining material? And I'm like struggling to get one joke in an hour-long video. Anyway, he inspires me a lot. I frequently have moments where I'm like, I'm happy for you, but I should have made this. Anyway, I love him. We can handle a little bit of healthy jealousy. It's fine. Um, As Jim McDougall says, where does performative and authentic diverge? Aren't we all performing all the time in degrees, maybe? Our internal self and external self are parts of us. I think that's very well said. I'm feeling a slight Butlerian performativity theory coming on, but yeah, so much of life is performance, and I think we just have to strive to do that as comfortably as we can. I feel that I had a much more complicated relationship with performance before I transitioned because I definitely felt like I was performing being a man. But I also feel like um, I was much more like torn between like how I wanted to express myself versus how I actually expressed myself. Whereas I feel like now I'm much more able to be like, well, girl, like this is how it is. This is who I am. This is how we've ended up. Do you know what I mean? So I don't feel as much of that need to like code switch as intensely unless as I was talking about earlier, I'm like trying to stealth or something like that. But but that's something that before transition I was so paranoid about performativity, and you there's a lot of just like queer phobia in saying that people are performing. Like if you see like a man who's really feminine, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, they're putting it on, and it's like, girl, like sometimes people are feminine. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, very well said. Joey Steph says life is a performance. Absolutely, much code switching necessary, 100%, and that's okay. It's good. Joey says the jokes in your videos are great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, guys, stop. No, that's very kind. I appreciate it. Okay, more questions. Austin says pros and cons of the side part in your opinion. This feels very silly to talk about, but I don't know. I feel like side parts can be quite flattering for people who have like strong jaws, and I feel like I have a strong jaw. So the side part, I feel like it's quite flattering, and you get more volume when you like have more hair on one side, and I can like do kind of like a little bit of this moment, and I feel like I get a lot of like hair out of that, which is fun. Um, but the downside is that I really like the center part when I want to do like fun hairstyles. Like if I want to do pigtails or space buns, I feel like those make a lot more sense with the center part. And then you have equal volume on both sides of your hair, and it just kind of like makes more sense. And obviously you can do a center part just for those looks, but I always like don't love doing that, especially if I want to take my hair down afterwards and then it's like I'm in the wrong part or whatever. So I would say that that's like the downside for me is like I really like space buns and stuff, and it's like always just hard for me to decide between the side and the center. Real life struggles here, like nitty gritty challenges of being, um, just girly things. Um, okay, so um, I'm not gonna try to pronounce this username, but somebody wanted me to talk about someone said, is there any reason to not fully love advocacy of Julia Serrano? I'm not quite sure 100% what they meant. I don't know. I'm trying to think if Julia Serrano released something called advocacy or if they just meant like Julia Serrano's work and like whether it's like oh, Gorge, can you clarify the question? Like, are we just asking like, is there any reason not to fully love Julia Serrano? Is that the question? I'm gonna just I'm gonna just pause for clarification. But it's a great question. Um, and yes, okay, Gorge. Just a hint, but Douglas pronounced Dougal. Thank you. I love I love doing a live stream. Listen, y'all, I'm just an American girl in the world. I'm gonna pronounce things wrong and be a bit embarrassing sometimes. That's just par for the course. Thank you, though. I appreciate the corrections, and I do want to learn, and I'm capable of evolving. Um, Nasik Daedra, cool, lovely. Thank you for the question, and uh, yes. I like Julia Serrano a lot. I really want to read more of her work. I literally had like this page open on my browser for ages to buy one of her other books, and I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think it's one of her newer ones. Um, to be honest with you, I'm just not well read enough on her because I know I've said some negative things about her philosophy, but I've only read Whipping Girl. I haven't read anything else that she's written, and I really, really want to. I think she has some fantastic stuff. Um, my friend made this really great post referencing some of her stuff about like trans femme exclusion from lesbian spaces, which I thought was really great. So I'm really interested to read more from her, and I think a lot of her work is really fantastic. Um, I know that in the past I made a whole video endorsing her subconscious sex theory, and then later on I wasn't totally convinced on it. But I think it's probably more fair to say that I went from being like, this is 100% the answer, un uncritically, to like now having studied quite literally critical theory, I'm just slightly more critical. I'm just slightly more like not 100% sure. And I think it's just like she does quite confidently present subconscious sex as a really reliable theory without exploring its potential failings. And I think that's a slight like negative on that one aspect of her theory in Whipping Girl. But I think that like there's so much in Whipping Girl that's not about subconscious sex, which I think is phenomenal and important. And it's just a great book for anybody who has a trans femme person in their life that they want to better understand, or who just generally wants to be an ally and educate themselves on trans femme experience. I think it's such a great book and it's super important. And I think if you are yourself trans femme, I think it's a really great way to, yeah, better understand your own experience and to connect with a fantastic trans feminine philosopher. It's really great to read philosophy by trans femme writers and to like have that because I do feel isolated sometimes when I'm reading the works of other writers. Because I'm like, oh, you just don't know. You just don't know. This is why I really love auto theory is that it connects to the personal a way that, um, in a way that can only be communicated through this kind of personal lens. And I think Julia Serrano does some quite auto theoretical stuff as well, because she also talks a lot about her experience and how that connects with her philosophy. And I think she's great. I really do think she's fantastic. And I know that I've said some shit. I know I've talked some shit. I'm aware that I've been a little critical of some of her stuff, but I think it's mostly just the way she's so like, well, subconscious sex is just the answer. And I'm not sure that's true. It may be the answer, and it certainly is an answer, but I don't know if it's like the truth. Absolutely. And I think it's like a little bit too much of trying to do that thing where like you're trying to explain an embodied gender experience externally. You're trying to be like, I promise we can articulate like our embodied experience to the external world. And it's like, baby girl, maybe we can't articulate it, or maybe we don't have to articulate it, or maybe we can just yeet out of the conversation and maybe that's okay. And that's kind of how I feel. But I really do like her a lot. I really do. And I feel very inspired by her. I really do. I would love to write similar stuff, honestly. Um, that would be really cool. Um, Going back into the chat here. Breeze says the pressure of performance before coming out was so real. Like, I'm still very insecure about expressing femininity, but somehow I'm more comfortable than expressing as a man with 26 years experience. That is very relatable to me. And also, like, I transitioned at 25, so kind of a similar age range there as well. Like, for me, yeah, it was just like I just felt very forced, just everything that I did before transition, and I have a hard time watching it. And the worst thing ever is when people will tell me, "Oh, but that was your authentic self, and now you're putting this on." And I'm like, "Bitch, you don't know me." But there is this like thing where it's yeah, it's just very hard. Like I just felt like I was constantly having to be masculine and prove that to people, and I would sometimes express myself very femininely before I transition and then get so insecure about it afterwards and have shame spirals or try to like bury it so people couldn't really like find evidence of it or whatever. So, we love shame. Um, Nasty Deja says, "Oh, that's fun because your passionate mentions of her um, is videos is inspiring me to read her books and at least try to include her works into my academia studies. Also, experiences so relatable." Um, I'm glad, and I like the only thing I ever want to do when I'm like even vaguely critical of someone is I just want to facilitate discourse, facilitate a conversation, not to be all like debate bro about it, but like, yeah, I just want us to be like, I want us to be critical. I want us to be not just taking things on board, yeah, uncritically, but I think she has a lot of great stuff to say. I would really like to read more of her as well. So that let's go with the book club baby. Let's all pick up one of her books and read it. That would be great. No, I really want to read her more, and that is a lot of her stuff is on my reading list. Actually, I wonder if I'll open my browser if it's still up. I feel like it's possible I may. Oh no, it's still here. I'm not gonna show my screen because I don't want you guys to see all the tabs I have open. It's embarrassing. But I have Sex Step, How Society Sexualizes Us, and How We Can Fight Back. That's just been open as a tab in my browser for like probably the better part of this year. And I'm going to buy it and I'm going to read it. I simply have not done that yet. Um, she wrote this 2 years ago, and honestly, at this point, I cannot remember what led me to really want to start reading this in the first place, because it's been up there for so long and I don't remember. But there was something or other that led me to be like, oh, I really want to get this book and I really want to read it. So yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna get that at some point. I'm gonna read it, and maybe it'll become a video at some point. We'll see. We have a couple videos planned. I have a lot of stuff to work through. I'm gonna be totally honest. The next video is not close. It's not coming soon. Um, and the reason for that is because your girl has a master's degree to finish, and my dissertation is due end of September. So I've just been in this space where like honestly, I really want to be working on videos right now, and that's really where I want to be spending my time and energy. But I paid this whole ass degree and I really have to just get it done. So right now I'm trying to just kind of like get through that finish line with the degree and get it done and do something that I feel proud of and confident in. And and I've also just like slight overshare, just had a slightly difficult month, and not gonna go into it. Just like have not really been able to be as productive as I've wanted to be. And so all that to say, I have to finish this dissertation and only then can I starting the script for the next video. So unfortunately, we're quite a ways away on a next video, and I feel bummed about it. And I also hope that the YouTube algorithm doesn't summarily execute me for like taking so long to get the next video out there. I also really appreciate the patience of all of y'all who have subscribed and everybody who supports me on Patreon because I know it can be a little bit discouraging to support a content creator and be like, bitch, where's my videos? And I'm working on it. I really am. And I'm very excited for the next video. Like, I've literally been so pumped to start it for so long, and I've just not been able to. And it's been really frustrating. The other thing that I have to do, sorry, this is like it's turning into my therapy session, but if you don't know, I'm also an immigrant, and I also have to apply for my settlement application in the United Kingdom in September as well. So not only do I have to finish my dissertation, but I also have to do like a life-altering visa application. So there's just a lot going on in the life of Marceline right now, and it's just yeah. It's just hopefully I will get it out in like October. I think that's my rough goal. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's enough of me like oversharing and divulging personal information live on stream. Thank you for indulging me. Yours. Okay. I'm gonna go back through the chat because I'm a little bit behind. Fassini or Faccini says, sorry, I'm just gonna keep pronouncing usernames horribly and I apologize. Says, hi, hello. Somehow I never knew you streamed on YouTube and assumed you just stopped altogether since I never saw you on Twitch anymore. Firstly, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being here. And I am so sorry for disappearing from Twitch. I feel really rotten about it. I think about it all the time. I'm like, baby girl, you really dropped that. And it just happened. Honestly, the main reason I stopped streaming on Twitch was mostly because I just wasn't having a lot of people show up, and I was feeling like it was a really like taking up a lot of my energy when I wanted to be focusing more on YouTube. And I feel like live streaming here just makes slightly more sense to me because I do have a little bit of an audience here, and so some of your lovely selves come and show up and hang out with me, and I really appreciate it. And Twitch was just kind of bumming me out. I think there's aspects of the platform that don't really vibe with me, and I don't know, I just wasn't really having the best time, and I was struggling to like figure everything out. So I just stopped, and I'm sorry I just stopped, and I'm sorry I didn't ever like talk about why I stopped. Thank you for being here now, and I do stream on YouTube. I don't stream on YouTube very often. I usually stream a month or two after I've released a major video, so they are fairly infrequent, so it would definitely be understandable of you to have not realized that I streamed here because I've so far I only did one other one this year. I used to stream on YouTube actually quite frequently many, many years ago, back in my lifestyle vlogger days, and that is a whole nother lifetime, and those streams will never see the light of day ever again unless I get hacked someday, in which case that will be a glorious gift of cringe to the internet. Dana Lopez says, I also started reading Julia Serrano because of your videos, and now I'm possibly incorporating her discussions in my own studies. That's wonderful, and that makes me so happy. And it also makes me feel some pressure for myself to like read her a little bit more and maybe incorporate her a little bit more into my own work because I have not, yeah, I haven't read her in ages, and I haven't really been including her in my work at all. Sorry, I'm just going to make this light a little bit less orange because we're pretty reliant on oh, that's more orange. How is this feels like maybe too cold. I don't know. What do we think? Anyway, we've gotten dark now. I apologize for that. I should probably turn my bedroom light on at some point. Okay. I'm just gonna leave it here for just a second. It feels very green. Don't know how I feel about that. Okay. Um, Joyce says you're very good at giving honest, balanced criticism. That's very kind. Thank you. I try. I do my best. And I get it wrong sometimes. And yeah. Um, Hello, Happy Bunny. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for being here. Dana Lopez says, unrelated, but your hair looks so pretty. The color looks good. Thank you so much. That's very kind. Yeah, I really appreciate it. If I could, I would just freeze the color here and just like, I want video game character hair where you just like pick your color and that's just what your hair is. You know what I mean? That's the dream. Um, Breeze says, it's so weird trying to navigate people giving you positive reactions when you express masculine versus your own personal joy expressing femme and trying to separate out what's good for you. It has to be just one of the worst aspects of trans femme experience and like broader queer experience because you just get so caught up in like, is this what I want for myself? Am I performing for other people? What am I allowed to do? Sorry, the glasses are crooked. Such a huge part of my life, without giving my whole life story, has been me just being like, can I have a little feminine, please? And just the world constantly being like, yeah, but it's disgusting. And just me being like, oh, okay, I guess I won't do that. And very much that thing, yeah, where it's like I would be celebrated for anything remotely masculine that I ever expressed throughout my life. Like so much by my family. Like if I grew facial hair, they'd be like, "Oh my God, you're such a stud." And it's like this big thing. And then it's like if I stopped doing drag for a while, because I used to do drag, people would be like, "Oh, it's so nice now seeing your natural self." And I'm like, okay, I guess people like this version of me more, and I'm a chronic people pleaser, and so I guess I'll just be masculine for other people, and then you end up with fucking years of therapy and a testosterone poisoned body. Anyway, I'll stop. Um, um, Pacini says academic life is a struggle. Boy, isn't it? Um, yeah. We love it and we hate it. I have such a love-hate relationship with academia. Sometimes I think I would love to keep up with it, and sometimes I think, you know what? We've done that. We've got the t-shirt and it is time for moving on. So Babco YG says success with finishing your degree and hope next month will be better for you. Thank you so much. It's very kind. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's very nice. SJ McDougall says, I got it right this time. Says, sometime we need to give ourselves permission to be incomplete and make incomplete art and thoughts. I think that's very well said. I think that's very true. It's definitely hard being a content creator because it's so hard. No one understands. But it's hard when you are going through difficult lifetimes because you want to be here in your content and you want to be able to bring something positive and powerful, and sometimes you're like, actually I have to take a month out from creating because I need to process trauma or something or go through therapy, and that disrupts the flow of content creation, and the YouTube gods aren't very fond of that. But what's been difficult for me has been navigating transition while creating content, because like I have all these ideas and I want to just work on videos, but then I have to work on myself. And for some of us girlies who are medically transitioning, transition can really be a job, and it can really be like a full-time job, and it can be a huge amount of work. And then you're like, well, not only do I have to have a job where I make money, where I survive in capitalism, but I also have to do the work to transition, and then I also have to do the work for the hobby. And unfortunately, YouTube is still in the position of hobby, as it's not something I'm able to do full time yet. Um, And and so there's been a part of the reason my content has been so infrequent over the past few years has been just because I've been working on myself. And this year I was like, I'm ready to just focus more on videos. But then I decided to get a philosophy degree, which has helped me with the videos. But it's also like, girl, I gotta do the degree. And I also like to think of my transition as like over, and I'm just like, oh, I can just be some leftist girl who focuses on creating cool leftist content. But that's not entirely true, and it's not linear, and it's complex, and it goes up and down and all around. Sorry, I'm losing the plot. We won't go too much longer because it's getting a bit late and I will need to eat. So if you have any burning questions, feel free to get them in now. But yeah, all that to say is that finding that balance is hard, and I am still, yeah, still doing the life thing. Transition sometimes is still cropping up and taking space, and there's just also, yeah, other things of being an immigrant and all that stuff. So anyway, I feel like this has gotten quite trauma dumpy. Um, sorry. Sorry, I feel like I'm a little bit behind on the chat. Gnostic Daedra says, getting degrees hits hard. Hope you finish it in a cool and chill way. Thank you. I hope so too. I'm like so close to being done and handing that dissertation in and being finished with my degree, and I'm so excited. I do feel like I started really strong and now I'm kind of limping across the finish line a little bit, but that's okay. And I am excited about the dissertation and what it's covering, and we are basically taking the cast review head to head in an auto-theoretical display of trans power. That's what it is. That's a very generous description, but um, Dana Lopez says, your last couple videos have been so long and well produced, though. I think the waiting time is more than worth it. That is like the nicest thing you could have said to me. That that's what I need to hear. So thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's very nice to hear that. I am pleased. I will spend the rest of my evening thinking about that comment and being and patting myself on the head. So that's good to know. I just always think that people want more frequent uploads over more quality. But I also told myself I really wanted to do like 3 monthly periods between videos, and I don't think I'm gonna make that for the next one just because of everything I've talked about. So feels like a slight step back or like a slight letdown, but it is what it is, and I'm trying to be nice to myself. And yes, the next video will be lighter, so I think it'll be easier for me on like an emotional level because it's going to be slightly more like fun, silly philosophy and less like extremely intense philosophy. So I'm hoping I can kind of just like relax a bit more and like have some fun with it, and that will make the process a little bit easier because the last video I was like, I can't get anything wrong. Like I have to just do everything I can to like get the information right and just not spreading misinformation, and I still got stuff wrong, and it's just like it'll be nice to not have that pressure with the next one. Yeah, sorry about how dark the room has gotten. I feel a little bit like uh what is that game, Friday Nights at Freddy's or something. um Joey says, yeah, your production quality's been insane lately. Watch me go cry. Thank you, that's very sweet. I'm good at taking compliments. I appreciate that. The philosophy degree has definitely helped, and it has also just helped giving myself more time to make videos, and to not be like, because if y'all knew this channel in the before days, I used to do videos every single week for like 10 minutes, and they sucked. So I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. But thank you. That's very validating and very kind. Um, Beard Photography says, are you into geography? So many maps. Yes, I am indeed very into geography, and I love maps. Maps are my passion. I'm just a map girl. I'm just a big fan of them. I think they're great and fun and interesting, and I like them a lot. Esther Dusan says, I'm also an immigrant. Would you imagine gaining another citizenship? Does the identity of foreigner relate to your feeling of being non-binary? I feel like a visitor in both gender and country. I could not relate to that more. I absolutely feel like I absolutely feel like a visitor in both gender and country. Yes, 100%. And I write about that a lot in the essay I just published on Patreon. I promise I'm not trying to just shameless plug loads, but I feel like YouTube's been putting on a lot of ads lately, but maybe I've just been streaming for a long time. So sorry, we've got another little ad moment there. Um, but yeah, so in my latest essay on Patreon, I talk a lot about that feeling of crossing borders, both in terms of crossing the border of gender and crossing the border of the literal border that I've crossed as an immigrant in the UK. I don't always feel very welcome here. I find being an immigrant here very difficult, even as a white American girl. So it's a huge part of my identity. I would love to gain citizenship here. It's like 7,000 pounds cumulatively, like multiple applications. There's multiple steps. It's just very difficult. I don't have a lot of money. I am kind of a starving artist, so I would love to get citizenship, but the process of spending all that money and doing all of that work is quite daunting, and it's something I hope to be able to afford and do at some point. But it's been very, very challenging for me for the entire past decade that I've been an immigrant in the UK. It's just been really, really hard. And it's hard for me to imagine a version of myself that isn't constantly struggling with immigration related stuff. I'm like, who is that girl? Because it's always been such a big part of my experience in the world. So yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of stuff. If you're interested in this, because it sounds like since this is your experience as well with feeling like a visitor in both gender and country, you would really enjoy, I think, Paul Preciado's work, because Paul Preciado works a lot on like discussing transgressing borders, and he discusses a gender transition in relation to an immigration journey. Like he uses that language, and I find that super fascinating and like poetic and like so relatable and so real. And he talks about how like you don't have the right documents to cross the border, and you don't like you're trying to prove yourself to the world. And it's so good. I'm such a Preciado fangirl. I just love him so much. But yeah, I think you might enjoy some of his stuff. Um yes. Alexis Vargas says, Ola, hypothetical question. If you were blind, would you still get dysphoria? I mean, yeah, I don't know. It seems like a slightly like self-explanatory question, not to be rude, just um gender exists beyond a visual aesthetic, and that just seems a little bit obvious to me. Like um being able to see is one single aspect of sensing the world and sensing the self. Um, Womanhood and femaleness is not just something that's visual, it's not just an aesthetic, it's not just the ability to look in the mirror and see the self reflected back at you. There is, there's the voice, there is the body which you can feel. There's the hearing sense, there's the feeling sense. So I do think sometimes about how, like, if you lived in a world where everybody was blind, I would probably feel less external dysphoria because you would have less difficulty critiquing appearance. And I think a lot of more, like, visibly gender nonconforming people would have a much easier life because you are less beholden to the eye of everybody around you. So I definitely think there's that aspect, mostly from an external sense. But I think that, like, the way I feel being endocrinologically female and walking through the world as a woman is not just a visual experience. And my connection with being hormonally female has nothing to do with a visual aspect at all, because it's not visual. It's a internal hormonal relationship. So yeah, anyway. Beard Photography says congratulations on 28,000. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Esther Two Hands says updating my passport gender. Oh my god, the chat just jumped. Says updating my passport gender marker feels like a little similar to updating my nationality. I guess both take time to grow into. I really relate to that. And again, I really think you should repress the auto because I think that you'll connect with his writing about that. Kimberly C says, academia sucks and is hard. Congrats on getting through it. Thank you. Working on engineering masters and it blows. LOL. Girl, so much respect to you for that. And good luck to us both. Joey Sev says, you're gonna smash your disc. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Um, Bacchini says, I started my PhD this year and it's been so weird because all of my previous academic work is with my dead name, and turns out going through second puberty while doing research is complicated. For real, like, I think in an ideal world, it would be great to be able to just like take time out of doing life to do transition and to go through those experiences because it can be super complicated. I definitely felt like I was ready in a hormonal space, particularly to go back to school when I went back to school, but it is hard and it has been, I think, maybe harder than I expected in some ways. And I've also had the thing where it's like old academic work is in your dead name. My old degree is in my dead name. I like have a weird relationship with my old school because I'm always like, sometimes I communicate with them and I'm like, I'm probably not on their systems and they don't even know who I am. And then I had to prove my credentials to the new school and be like, I know it's a different name, but like, this is me, I promise. Esther McDougall says transitioning is the hardest thing I have ever done. Me too. Um, Bitch, me too, the fuck. Um, Honey Tuesday says, how do I get that shirt? OMG, I can't find it on Ideology. I'm gonna be honest. I like stalked the shit out of this shirt because I found he advertises it on like his Instagram, but he never has it stocked. And I literally put like I think I put in like the notifications like or something like email me when it's back in stock. It was back in stock for a single day. I managed to get a copy and I've never seen it in stock again. I don't know. Like I feel like this is like I don't know. Maybe his stock just goes that quickly, or maybe he's not that fond of this product. I just I just really liked it as a shirt, so I was like, I'm gonna just like stalk his shop until he stocks it, and he did one day, and then I got it, and I'm happy I did. Wish I'd gone for a size bigger, but that's okay. And just for reference, if it's not obvious, I've cut it up. So if you're looking at the website version and you're like, that looks different, it's because I've cut into this. This is like a little dress for me. um, yes. Um, SJ McDougall says, your long form videos are awesome. Make what makes you fulfilled. We will watch and follow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, it's just appreciate the support. Um, it's hard to like internalize that, but I will do my best. Um, Zephyr77 says, as a Patreon member, I want you to know I'm happy with whatever content you provide. I'm doing it to do you a support. That's so sweet. That's like the nicest thing ever. And I'm very, I keep saying that I'm humbled, but I really am. I really am humbled and I really am grateful for that. Um, so thank you so much. Um, yes. Hello, Sophie. Love the little star. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Oh my goodness, I'm nervous now. There's a really pretty girl in the chat. Um, I can be normal about that. Yeah, the star is because I had a pimple on my forehead and I felt like I didn't really want that on live stream, so I was like, we're gonna do the little star trend. Um, Adele says, how did you do voice training? Random videos online, tailored online courses, offline course. At the start, I explored everything. I had consultations with trainers. I watched a lot of videos. I later found one YouTube video which I found was helpful for me. And feel free to DM me on social media and I can send you the link. I have it saved somewhere. Sometimes it takes me a while to find it. But I found that that was like the only video that was really helpful for me. And then once I had the strategy of how I was going to practice, I didn't consume anything. I have a hard time getting instructions or being taught things. I need to learn everything on my own, which is obviously extremely inefficient, but it's just the way that I learn. So I needed to just very quickly get some tools down and then do everything on my own. And that's what I did. I just practiced on my own because that's just like what I need. And I'm really glad, frankly, that I didn't have a trainer that I hired because they are so expensive and honestly, in my opinion, a little bit skivy. Like they're just, it's not even a word. Anyway, they're just kind of like, I just have a slight mixed feeling about a lot of them just because they charge so much money and it really is something that you can do on your own. And I think they prey a little bit on the frustrations surrounding vocal training, but that's just a little hot opinion there for you. Um, Y'all, beautiful, lovely, gorgeous human beings, thank you so much for coming by the stream today. We are going to end this here, but I really appreciate you guys stopping by. To anybody who is watching the replay, thank you for being here and thank you for watching this back. I feel like you had a lot of bravery to dig through all this footage, but thank you all for being here and for hanging out with me and for celebrating this milestone. I appreciate everyone who has helped me reach this space with the channel. I feel like hashtag blessed, hashtag humbled, hashtag grateful. And there will be another video, unfortunately not soon, but at some point, and I am excited to bring that to y'all. So thank you for your patience and for coming along with me on this journey. I, yeah, I really, really appreciate it. I will indeed go and enjoy my dinner because your girl needs to eat. So yeah, I will bid y'all goodbye.